And I'm guessing coding is a set of instructions a computer can follow.
All right, very good. So just as Colin said, code is a set of instructions for a computer to follow. And essentially, code is taken by the machine and it's turned into assembly, but that's much more advanced. And if you choose to continue learning about computer science, that is something that you will learn. Anyways, computers take these instructions to make many different projects, and video games are one such project. And today we'll teach you to code using Scratch. And feel free to type in the chat or mute if you ever have any questions. Oh, and the slides will be recorded if you guys want it later, and we will be emailing those out.
Okay, so this is what you will need. You're gonna need access to a web browser, so like Google or Safari, and then you'll need a notebook and a pencil to take notes on anything that doesn't make sense to you. And then if this is optional, but you should probably have a parent or guardian to help you make your account. And we'll give you 2 minutes to get all of these things.
While everyone's gathering that, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And for those of you who are coming back, you can start creating an account on Scratch if you don't already have one. So here you can see the instructions of how to do that. You would go to scratch.mit.edu/join, and then choose a username, a password, the country you live in, where you are born, your gender, and your email, and this should create an account. If you already have an account, feel free to sign in.
Whenever you guys are done creating an account, if you could type done or yes in the chat, that would be great.
I'm done.
Oh, great. All right, it looks like most people are done. Is there anyone who's having difficulty creating an account? All right, if not, then we can move on to the next step.
For those of you who have just joined, we're just creating our accounts on Scratch. So I'll put the link in the chat, and then feel free to make an account. And if you already have an account, you can sign in.
All right. So I'll go through a quick example project. This is something that can be made using Scratch. So this is a Pong game, and Pong is kind of like table tennis, where you have a paddle and you have a ball, and your goal is to try to hit the ball with the paddle without letting it touch the ground. So this is Pong, and it was made using Scratch. And as you can see here, you have a paddle and you have a ball, and you're trying to hit it without letting it fall. And that's kind of the objective of the game. And this was all created through Scratch programming, and you guys are going to learn all of these concepts as well. So I'll just give everyone a minute in case anyone is still creating their account, and I'll just play this again. All right, so now that you guys have a quick idea of a project that can be created using Scratch, and I think everyone has created and opened their accounts, so we can get started.
All right, so the first thing that we're going to do in our project is select a background. And so a background essentially is, as the name suggests, what goes in the background. And you can see here in the video that the background is completely white, and we can insert an image or one of Scratch's preset images in order to give it a little more flavor. And you don't have to pick the same one that we picked. You can pick any background that you think looks nice. And we'll play the video again in case any of you missed a step.
Keep in mind that you don't need to add any of this to your program. It's just for reference because we'll need it in the future.
Is anyone having any trouble? I see Joyce raising her hand in the camera there. Do you have a question or something you'd like to say?
Yes, can you show the example again?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're doing the Pong game.
Yes. These are kind of the backgrounds and instructions for Pong. Were you guys all able to open a new project?
Yep.
Okay, great. Then let me play this again so that you guys can understand.
If you weren't, no worries. We'll teach you how to make your own project in a little bit.
All right, was everyone able to get that, or does anyone else? Does anyone need it to be played again?
How do you pick a background?
So if you are you at this screen right now? Does your screen look something like this?
Yes.
Okay. So at the very bottom, do you see where this pointer is at the very bottom?
Which pointer?
Let me shoot.
Oh, yes.
It's at the bottom corner, yeah. So once you click on that, you'll have a bunch of different backgrounds that you can use. Do you see all the backgrounds?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you just click on one to pick that. And you
Okay.
can pick it.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. So keep in mind, everyone, you don't have to actually be doing these steps. We're just trying to kind of give you an introduction to how Scratch works. So we're just kind of trying to show you how background works and how some of these different things work. But you don't have to actually do it. If you want, you can, but it's up to you whether you just want to listen in or whether you want to try and do these things yourself. I'll play this background video one more time. All right, now we can move on to the next section.
Okay, if you guys look over at the top left side of your screen where, oh wait. Wait, I think the video got paused. Yeah, once you guys have imported your backdrop, you can go to the top left part of your screen and click backdrops where you can see the ones you selected. And you can also make edits to it. And in this one, we're going to draw a line on the bottom part of our background to show where the out boundary is for the Pong game. Again, you guys don't have to do this on your screen. You just have to see how it's done, and so you can use it for your project. You can edit any one of your backgrounds to show how to look how you want it to. And all the tools are on the top left part of the screen inside the backdrops tab. So once you guys have taken a look at that, we can continue. I think we're ready to move on now. So if anyone wants to repeat it, can you please type in the chat, or we'll go on to the next slide.
Okay, I think we can move on then. So, like Pranav said, you can always change your background to be whatever you want it to be like. And there are a lot of tools that make this really easy to do. So some of those can be found here. We can start with the undo and redo buttons. So those ones are just like what they sound like. They help you undo or redo your actions. So if you want to stop one step, you can choose to do it there. Next, we have the canvas. Does anyone know what the canvas might be?
Where you draw your sprites.
Exactly.
Also,
It's where you
I used Scratch before, so.
Nice. So we're going to start with a quick review for anyone who might be a little bit more basic, but then we'll kind of branch out so that you can explore your interests a little more. So yes, the canvas is where you can draw basically anything that you'd like to do to edit your screen. And then we have the zoom buttons, which can be found on the bottom right. And these, just like they sound like, help you zoom in and zoom out on your screen. The line width selector is used to change the thinness or fatness of a certain line. So if you want a really thick line, like the one that we saw in the previous video, then you would increase that number. And if you want a very, very thin line that's quite hard to see, then you would reduce that so it could be as low as 1. For the color selector, you would use this to change colors of something. So for example, in the video that we showed, we had a red color. And so you can change that to any color. So be it black, purple, green, red, anything you want, you can change that to any color here. Below it is the select tool, which is used to click on certain parts of your project. And that one isn't too important for now, but we will kind of explore that later. We also have the reshape tool, which is used if you would like to reshape your shape into something new. So for example, if you want to have a triangle which is rounded edges, the reshape tool could be very useful there. The brush tool is just what it sounds like. It helps you kind of brush or paint some parts of your project. And the eraser tool, also what it sounds like, is used as an eraser to erase things. The fill tool is used to fill up a certain area with color. So for example, if I had a triangle and I wanted to fill it with the color red, I would use the fill tool. And then all of the triangle would become red. The text tool is used to write words in cool fonts. The line tool is used to make lines. The circle tool is used to make circles. And the rectangle tool is used to make rectangles. So I know this was a lot of information, so we'll give you guys a few minutes just to write this all down and ask us any questions you might have about these things. And when you guys are done writing down your notes or understanding this slide, just feel free to type done or yes in the chat.
Also, don't get too worried about trying to memorize or trying to get down all of this. We will send out each class's slides that week, so you guys can review and have them for reference. So you don't need to worry too much about trying to memorize all this.
And as we go deeper into the workshop, we'll also kind of open up on some of these concepts. So don't worry about having to memorize and just kind of get a basic understanding.
The pictures are pretty self-explanatory. Anyway. That's how I memorized everything. I just look at the pictures.
All right, I think we can move on from this.
Okay, so the next topic that we're going to explain are sprites. So sprites are a computer graphic that can be moved on screen and otherwise manipulated as a single entity. And all the code that we add to one sprite only works for that one singular sprite. So this is how you code for a sprite. The first step that we want to do is add a ball. So we're going to delete the cat sprite that starts with every scratch. And then we're going to, at the bottom right, there's a button that says choose a style, sprite, and you click on that, and you can pick anything that you want to use as the ball for your Pong game. You don't have to pick the same thing as us. And then the next step is to add the paddle. So you have to find another sprite that you want to be your paddle. So we use the paddle sprite as our paddle, but you don't have to do that.
And for the purpose of programming, we're going to ask for everyone to please keep one sprite. So you can keep the cat, or you can go ahead and pick a new sprite, just so that we can try out some cool programs on it.
All right, if everyone is able to kind of understand what sprites are like and how to add sprites to your project, we can move on to the next part.
Also, if you ever feel like you need more time or that we're going too fast, please do let us know and we can work accordingly.
Okay, I think we've gone over all the basics now, so we can start creating a project for ourselves. If you guys haven't already done so, you can click create on the top left of your screen to open up a new project on Scratch. And that way you can start coding and building your project.
And once you do this, please do type done in the chat if you haven't already done it. Okay, I think we can move on to the next step then. So for the next part of your project, you're going to rename your title to anything. So I know we gave it the name Pong Game here, but you can name it absolutely anything you like. And the reason that we ask for you to name your project is because when you have one or two projects, it's fine. But I know some of you have been doing Scratch for a long time, and you know that when you have multiple projects, it can get kind of confusing when there are so many projects all named Untitled.
It gets impossible to recognize even with titles since I have 248 projects.
Yeah. So in those cases, you want to make sure that you're always titling your projects.
I have studios, which makes it much easier.
So yeah, go ahead and rename your projects and then let us know in the chat once you are done with that stuff.
Mine is called Hit Your Car with Falling Hail for some reason, and there's a difference between that and regular Pong. So you're supposed to hit the projectiles like it, but you don't lose when the hail touches the bottom of the screen. It just sits there until your car tire pops.
Those sound like really, really interesting projects.
Oh, also I put a velocity for the hail, so it's more realistic.
All right, if everyone is able to title their project, we can move on.
Nirathi, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. So your screen probably looks something right now, like this right now, and there are a lot of things going on. So we'll kind of break it down for you and help you understand it. So as you guys know, you probably just assigned a title to your project. So the project title box is right here, and you can change your title whenever you want. These are the 3 tabs that you'll have on your project. So you'll have code, which is the blocks of code that you're going to be using. Costumes, which is basically the different, they are basically costumes, the different versions of your sprite. So for example, for the ball sprite, one costume might be a blue ball, while another one might be green, and another one might be purple. So you can change colors, you can change shapes between the different costumes. And sounds are exactly what they sound like. They're audio clips that you can insert into your projects. So this is the code area in the center, and you can drag tabs from the panel on the left into the code area, and anything in the code area is going to be run when you run your project. And you run your project using these triggers over here. So the green flag is kind of like a play button, so it starts your project, whereas the stop sign, the red one, is a pause button. So wherever your project is, if you press the red button, it'll stop the project. And the green flag is based on how you program the project. So sometimes if you don't want to use the green flag, you can do something else, like space bar. Like if you press the space bar, your project will start. And this is the sprite pane. So you can see all of the sprites that you have right now. I'm assuming most of you have the Scratch Cat. But if you added sprites from the previous step, then you'll probably have those there as well. And this is the stage. This is basically where all your code and all your sprites, everything will come together as a project. And this is kind of like your display. So I'll let everyone take a look at this for a couple of minutes.
And if there's anything new, feel free to take notes on it.
All right, if everyone was able to look over this and kind of understand how Scratch works, we will move on.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Actually, did this before? Is it okay if I change a little? Because I noticed that the game can actually work better if you do something different.
Okay, yeah, you can make any changes you want. It's up to you on what you want to do. And if you find that some of those changes are helpful, you can share them with us in the chat as well. So maybe we can tell some other students to make those changes as well.
Okay, so the real heart of your program is in the code blocks, which controls all the things that your user sees and interacts with, like the backdrop or the sprites that you have. And each sprite or backdrop, each sprite or backdrop has its own code, and you can change their code by clicking on the sprite or the different backdrops. And you can find the first block of code you need, which is always an event block, which is a light yellow block, which is basically checking for when a trigger is completed. So if a user clicks something on the screen or presses a key, the code can start working and run your program. So all the blocks that you see on the left are used to run your sprite and your backdrops. And yeah, that's basically what you'll use to make your program. So for our project, we're gonna add, if we were doing the ping pong game, we would add a when flag clicked block that shows when the program is started, and then add a move 10 steps block, which basically makes our sprite move 10 steps when the green flag is clicked. So you can use these blocks to make changes to your sprite and other parts of your program. And also you can stack these blocks by clicking and dragging them over others that you've already placed on the screen. So if you have an event block and you click out a motion block and then put it under there, you should get a small gray area. And if you let it go, it just connects automatically.
And we'll give everyone around 2 minutes to try that code. But make sure to type
For
done.
some reason, WebGL suddenly stopped working, so I'm just using a different browser.
Yeah, any browser is fine.
As long as it has WebGL, which one of my browsers suddenly stopped using.
Most modern day browsers will support WebGL, so don't worry about that. Just use whatever browser you like.
And once you have done this step, please make sure to type done in the chat. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to the next step.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try stacking blocks together. So when you stack blocks, if there's a gray background, when you place the block, it means that the block can fit there. But if there's no gray background, then that means the block cannot fit. So, wait, can you keep going? So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to add a turn block between the first and second block. So that's also something you can do. You can put blocks between each other. And once again, if there's a gray background, then it'll fit there. So I will give everyone a minute or two to try this.
I guess yeah, WebGL's gonna start working tomorrow because it did work on the browser and then it just finally stopped working.
All right, you guys can type done in the chat whenever you're done adding that block, and then we'll reveal the answer.
I think I might not type anything because I'm doing kind of my own project. So
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so this is the solution. This is what your code should look like. You should have a when flag clicked and then turn 15 degrees and move 10 steps.
So, if you have time, be sure to test your code, and you can do so by pressing the green flag at the top right of your screen, and make sure that the program runs just the way you want it. And of course, the program runs top to bottom. And first, you click the flag, and then the cat will return right 15 degrees, and then finally move 10 steps.
Alright, you guys can let us know in the chat when you're done testing out your code and ready to move on. Alright, I think someone asked to see the code, so I'll go back really quick. This is what your basic code block should look like. For now, we're just trying to get through the basics and show you guys kind of how some code will run. So it should just be like a when flag clicked, and then turn right 15 degrees and move 10 steps. And so we're just kind of testing out the sample code. And next week and the weeks after that, we'll be working on a couple of pretty cool projects on Scratch that are more advanced than this. All right, so let me move on.
Okay, so about white fields, there are round and hexagonal blocks that are called reporter blocks, and they fit inside white fields. So, for example, in the picture that we've shown around the red circle, that would be a reporter block. Nirathi, would you be able to point to that with the pointer? Yeah. So that circle, that would be a reporter block. So let's say that there's a glow based on a white outline, which you can see in the bottom left picture. That means that a reporter block can be placed there. So when we got the pick random 1 to 10 near that area, you can see how it kind of glows up. And that's the same thing for the mouse down button. It kind of glows up in the second picture. However, you can't place it in the white areas if it doesn't glow up. So here, there is a gray shading below it, but there is no area that's kind of glowing up. So for this slide, you don't have to do anything particularly, but you can take any notes on things you might find useful. And once you feel comfortable with this topic, feel free to type done in the chat.
All right, it looks like some people are finishing up, so we can move on, I guess. All right, so it looks like most people are done with the previous concept, so I will move on to forever loops. Now, forever loops are essentially code statements that run on forever and ever. So if you look at this code right here, we have a statement that says forever. Now, basically what this does is anything inside of this block will keep running until we tell it to stop. So that's why it's called a forever loop. It goes on forever. So within this block, the sprite is going to move 10 steps and turn 15 degrees. And then it's going to go back to the top and move 10 steps and turn 15 degrees. And it's going to keep doing that. And so the program is only going to stop. The program inside of forever loop is only going to stop when you click the red stop sign, as you guys probably see near the, I think it's at the corner of the display. And so you can use unlimited sprites and code blocks in your programs. And so this is a quick...
Except using too much can cause your browser to crash.
Yeah, exactly.
I created a program that caused your browser to crash.
Oh, really?
It had no use. It was just a whole bunch of code stacked inside.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of pointless to keep repeating the same thing over and over. So it's easier to just use a forever block. And that makes your code much simpler. So I'll let everyone kind of look through this and understand it for a couple of minutes. And you can let us know done in the chat. You can type done in the chat when you're done. And if you have any questions, you can ask as well. All right, let me move on to the next concept.
Okay, all of the code in Scratch is classified into these 9 different sections of code, and each of them has different uses, and we'll teach you these concepts in the following weeks for the next sessions, and there's going to be a game about the different categories at the end, so make sure you pay attention and take notes of their different purposes.
I will give everyone a minute to just look at this and understand the different areas. I see someone just asked, how do we code this? For now, we're just kind of going through the different sections of Scratch and kind of trying to show you guys what Scratch looks like and how it works. So we'll get to the actual kind of the more advanced coding part next week. And in the final couple of classes, you guys are going to work on building your own game as well. So for today, it's just kind of getting used to Scratch and how it works. So for this part, you don't have to do any coding, just kind of understand the block categories. And yeah, just try to understand the information. And I will. Oh, sorry. So just as a quick update, we'll send out the slides for each week to you guys. We'll email them to you. So if you have any questions or if you're confused about anything or need to look back, you can do that. And okay, I saw someone in the chat asked, how do we code this? So for this week, we were focused mostly on, I guess we did focus mostly on understanding Scratch and how to program in Scratch and the components of Scratch. But next week and the weeks after that, we're going to work on creating more advanced games and getting into like more hardcore coding part. Yeah, so if the rest of you have any questions, you can feel free to ask now.
And just like Nirathi was saying, that there will be classes every week, so make sure you join back next week, Wednesday at the same time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.